Hello, my name is Cooper Dunst and I am a software engineer here at Tesla. Today I'm going to discuss the multitude of ways in which our company can make our autonomous vehicles safer and keep drivers from being distracted on the road. To accomplish this, I will be reviewing the research that I conducted over the course of the last 2 months. Distracted driving accounts for roughly 920,000 car accidents a year and accounts for 8.7% of all fatal crashes according to Bankrate. This number has continued to rise throughout the years and will only continue to do so if action is not taken to stop drivers from being distracted. On the right side of the screen, you'll see a figure that shows the total number of deaths in car crashes compared to the number of deaths caused by distracted driving from the CDC. And as you can kind of tell, roughly 10% of all annual car crashes come from distracted driving. When most people think of distracted driving, they typically think of texting and driving. While that is an instance of distracted driving, there are many other forms that it takes, such as smoking, eating, applying makeup, messing with the radio, talking to a passenger, and many more. Distracted driving has become one of the greatest issues on the road today, and I would like our company to help put an end to it. A real example of this kind of situation in an autonomous vehicle occurred in 2018. For those that are unaware of this situation, Uber had released autonomous vehicles to the public, but it was required that an operator would be inside the vehicle to ensure that nothing was to happen to the vehicle. On one night, one of the vehicle operators, according to the BBC, had the vehicle on autopilot and began to watch Hulu and did not keep their eyes on the road. While they were on their phone, the vehicle hit and killed a pedestrian. The figure on the right shows the vehicle operator just moments before the crash staring down at their phone. There are many places that we can place the blame, whether it's the pedestrian crossing the road or the driver for not paying attention, but ultimately it is both the driver and Uber's fault. The driver should have been paying attention to the road, and Uber should not have advertised a completely autonomous vehicle that's open for complete use to the public. Now, the question may be, why does all this matter? At Tesla, we are at the forefront of creating autonomous vehicles, and it is a common misconception that our vehicles are capable of driving themselves perfectly, which has led to drivers letting our vehicles take over and sit on their phones or take naps while behind the wheel. Our autopilot system is not perfected yet, and it will not be for many years to come, and until that point, we should make sure that our consumers know that it is not completely perfect. In order to do this, our company must implement new technology into our newer models that will stop this trend. Another note that I found in my research is that this kind of technology will eventually be mandated within the coming years, so I believe that is a good idea to start on it now. My first implementation would be heart rate sensors. These sensors, as seen in the figure on the right, will be used to read a driver's heart rate through electric pulses. I had mentioned in my progress report that Ford has done a very similar thing, but it was in order to detect impending heart attacks. This would denote whether or not a driver is asleep. The value of the driver's heart rate will then be stored within the vehicle the entire time the vehicle is being operated and constantly be averaged. As I mentioned also in my progress report, while most heart rates are similar, it is imperative that we do not have a set value that denotes that a driver has fallen asleep, as some heart rates can differ. The average value will then be compared to see if it is within the range of around 40 to 55, which is a heart rate that commonly denotes that person is sleeping. If the vehicle does believe that a driver has fallen asleep, a notification will appear on the center console that prompts the driver with a question asking if they are asleep, accompanied with a timer that will count down how long the driver has to respond. If the timer gets to 0, the vehicle will automatically turn on the hazard lights, find the nearest place to park, and also play a slight beeping noise that will attempt to wake the driver. Up next, there are steering wheel sensors. Recent studies have found that it takes an average of around 25 seconds for a driver to regain full control of an autonomous vehicle, but it takes just split seconds for a car to crash. Considering that there are no perfect autonomous vehicles on the road today, it's essential that drivers keep at least one hand on the wheel even while the vehicle is in autopilot. The way this can be accomplished is through the implementation of sensors within the steering wheel that can read either a heat signature from the driver's hands or pressure plates that can signify that there's just at least something on the wheel. If the vehicle is then told after a few seconds that the driver has not had their hands on the wheel, the procedure is similar to that of if the vehicle detects that the driver has been asleep. It will prompt the user with a notification. If they don't respond to it fast enough, it'll pull over, find a place to park, and then once the driver regains control of the wheel, the vehicle can operate as normal. And then finally, camera implementation. Of the two other implementations I've presented so far, I fully believe that camera implementation is by far the most important, and I believe that should be a priority, as it covers basically the other two scenarios, but those are just extra security measures that can be added. And the implementation of cameras would allow the vehicle to see so much more and be able to detect distracted driving with ease. Years ago, State Farm created a competition in which any developers could create a deep learning algorithm, which would be given a set of test data and then be able to identify a plethora of scenarios. You can see examples of the test data supplied to the right, but some of the scenarios include phone call with left or right hand, texting with left or right hand, messing with radio, talking to passengers, and more. With a camera that is placed near the passenger side, we'd be able to see exactly what the driver is doing at all times and be able to react based upon what the camera sees. The secondary camera would be placed in the dashboard, which will track eye movement to ensure that the driver is paying attention to the road. The two cameras will work together to determine if the driver seems distracted and will react based upon each camera's analysis. If one of the cameras, with emphasis specifically on the passenger side, says that the driver is distracted, the procedure is the same as the other two implementations that I've already mentioned. Notification, pulling over, regain control of the vehicle, and then operate as normal. Finally, we have government regulation, and after conducting some research on regulations of monitoring drivers, I found that there are currently no laws that go against the use of cameras within vehicles to monitor drivers, but it would be illegal specifically if we were to record them, because that can be considered an invasion of privacy. So it's imperative that we only monitor the drivers and just have the cameras automatically detect rather than trying to record and learn from the drivers. Although this implementation should be added sometime soon, as by 2027 it is expected that there will be a piece of legislation passed that will mandate driver monitoring. Now, with these new implementations come some new costs, and surprisingly, these implementations do not have that great of an impact on our production costs. The cost of each camera would be around $300, which is not the best, but not terrible. And each sensor can cost anywhere from $20 to $100. And this would bring our production cost of a Model 3 from $36,000 to roughly $37,000, which will mean that we can adjust the cost accordingly for the Model 3 from an MSRP of $46,900 to about a little over $48,000, which will then allow the Model 3 to still be within the budget luxury vehicle category. With that being said, I would like to thank you for your time and this opportunity to research how we can make our vehicles here at Tesla safer and the road safer. Thank you.